This is what Final Fantasy VII Rebirth motion controls looks like. Oh my fucking god. And this is what the modern motion controls looks like. So, what the hell happened here? And what are you even looking at? Motion controls on video games have seen gimmicky implementations since the Wii, with games obligating you to waggle the controller to do simple actions that a button could easily do. But modern motion controls don't work like the Wii at all. In fact, they are so precise they are more like a mouse. A mouse is like any motion controller. Precise, simple, and intuitive. I don't think I have to say this, but in modern motion controls, no waggle is required. Actually, you barely move the controller at all. It's just a fun way to control video games, with the added bonus of being more precise than sticks. I play every game that requires aiming with motion controls, and it is fantastic. So what happened? Let's explore the mishaps of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so players and developers can improve in the future. The first minigame with motion controls is the dolphin minigame. You must steer a dolphin through an obstacle course and you will go faster if you hit all the balls in each batch. Motion controls are active by default, which is good. I like motion controls, but the tutorial doesn't explain that you can move the controller to move the character. And that's a trend because they don't explain it anywhere in any minigame. Maybe they thought it wasn't necessary because all the player needs is this little diagram showing the controller moving. But then you try replicating this movement and the character doesn't move. Usually there are two main ways of moving the controller, swiveling and rolling. Swiveling is better for people who play with the controller on their lap, and rolling is for people who play with the controller pointing towards the sky. But this minigame said fuck you to both of them because I couldn't find the right way to move this character at all. The animation of the controller is swiveling, but I think the arrows represent the rolling movement because rolling seems to work, but just look at this. The turning speed while using the analog sticks is much faster than with motion controls. This is the first minigame that uses this feature and it literally doesn't work. I wanted to distance the notion of motion controls from the Wii, but it's hard because it seems this game really wants to be Wii Sports Resort. The next minigame is a target practice in Costa del Sol. When I saw this I thought, oh wow, gyro is great for aiming, this will be fun. And then, what? Why is the cursor skipping like that? Is there something wrong with my controller? I'm not even gonna lie, this minigame makes me mad. Usually, developers will emulate a right stick with motion controls instead of using raw input, you know, like a mouse. So they did get this right, it is using raw input, but they added this insanely huge dead zone. This is common in most bad implementations. Developers seem scared of a little bit of noise, so they add a ton of smoothing and dead zones. But like, I don't know if you noticed, but your physical movements don't have dead zones, and neither should motion controls, nor a mouse. I'm not sure if this dead zone is present in the dolphin minigame, but it would explain a lot. And that's the takeaway from this minigame. If you wouldn't add this to a mouse, you wouldn't add this to motion controls. Moving on to the sky and sea, you can steer Tiny Bronco with gyro. Like, sure, whatever, this doesn't do anything. I don't know if this can be even considered a minigame because you are not even playing, you're just listening to the dialogue while seeing the scenery. But later, you can control Tiny Bronco on the water, and would you look at that, it works! It has a big dead zone, not this big though, but it is fun, precise, intuitive, and it doesn't require an insane amount of movement. It's really solid. The only problem is that it overstays its welcome. If this was an actual minigame, this would be fine, because it would be over in a couple minutes. But here, you have an entire map to explore like this. It's just not worth using it. The last use of motion controls is in the Chocobo Flight minigame. You must steer your Chocobo and pass through as many rings as possible to get a high score. Until this point, we grew to expect no mention of this feature in the tutorial. Check. Wrong examples? Check. Nasty dead zones? Surprisingly, no. Well, kinda. Steering horizontally feels quite good. The arrows on the left side of the screen turns green when the game understands which way you're turning. But you can see the Chocobo's head moving a little bit even before that. So the real problem is that this game requires diving and hovering. You can dive by pushing the analog stick back and hover by pushing the analog stick up. But with gyro, while you can easily hover by pointing the controller towards the sky, I cannot seem to dive for some reason. What? That was until I started to test some more exaggerated movements. And suddenly, the chocobo dived! Oh my fucking god. Then I restarted the course to test the turning angle that activates the dive, and this is my live reaction. What the fuck is this position?
Oopsie daisy.
In conclusion, 3 of the 4 uses of motion controls in this game are for steering, and 1 for aiming. Only the tiny Bronco actually works in a normal, non-insane way, but in a part of the game that most people would just turn it off. The game fails to teach you how to use it, it fails to work properly with huge dead zones, painting a picture that motion controls are just bad like that. But that isn't the motion controls fault, that's the game's fault. Hopefully they can fix this in the future, or at least do it better in the next game. For more motion control games and tips, like and subscribe. And thanks so much for watching.